Hello again. It's So I hope you already watched the first video. I realized I made that. I wanted it to be short, and then there's not really any information in that, so it's just kind of like an intro. But I think the real deal, if you want to say it like that, kind of starts now. So I feel like if you think about making a trip, or more like leaving everything behind, kind of. There's a few topics that are important, and I want to start with the one that is probably the least nice one, which is finances. So I feel like or like it's very worrisome if you're used to having an income because we need to pay money to live somewhere, we need to pay money to eat food, we need to pay money for insurance, blah blah blah. And if you don't have any money, then or like, if you quit your job, then where's that money gonna come from, right? And first of all, I'm not gonna like bullshit you and say that I have actually a lot of knowledge in terms of anything regarding to that. I always lived and tried to save as much as possible for more than 10 years now, which sounds kind of weird, but I just, even when I was a student or anything, I just never bought anything. Have some shirts that are more than 10 years old and blah, blah, blah. And I also was lucky enough to have a pretty good earning job for a few years now. So I was able to save up some money just for my situation. So I'm not going to say like, oh, do this and this and it's going to work, blah, blah. Um, One thing I know from a book, and I feel like that is true, but for some people it makes them too anxious, is if you don't have money and don't have income, you're forced to be more creative and you're forced to figure out ways to have money. So it kind of makes you more productive, maybe. For me personally, I feel like I'm not sure if that would work, maybe. Um, Maybe I would be too anxious to do that, so I rather have some save. Either way, if you don't have that much save, first of all, if you're gonna quit your apartment job, blah blah blah, you might already have some things that you can sell, so you have a little bit of a budget. And then the second thing is depending on where you go, there's some countries that have very low cost of living, um, in like Asia, for example. And so you don't need as much as you think. And then once you arrive there, as I said, you might be forced to figure out ways to make more money. Obviously, you always need to have enough to, I guess, in a way, fly back home and then like continue working from there. I don't know, depending on which country you are or what education you have, it's harder or easier to find a job. But I feel like technically it should be able, and that's what I'm doing this, and I'm trying out other things as well. It should be able to make money somehow. But also, I have never done it apart from my job, so I don't know. I'm about to figure that out as well. But obviously, that's something to take into consideration. Just make sure you know what you spend. For example, I've kind of forgot that like insurance and stuff is a topic, and I feel like if I'm gonna stay away from home for longer, I also have to make sure that my retirement money, etc., is okay. Good. That's the boring part. The part I don't know, I can't help that much, but I just feel like I want to say it's going to be okay. And I have met people here that have a way lower budget than me, and they just crash at some people's couches or have like extremely cheap living places, and they just eat the same cheap food, but they are still happy doing that. So I feel like whatever fits you, you're gonna figure it out somehow. But I'm also not gonna say you can do it if you don't have any savings. I don't know how you're gonna pay for the flight and insurance and everything and flight back. That's just and you have to start a little bit different. Or you, I don't know, you just decide to say fuck it and you're leaving everything behind, but you don't travel half the world for that. And instead you are just going to quit the job and your apartment, blah, blah, and just grab a backpack with 10 things and see where you end up, right? You don't necessarily have to leave the country or continent. I just did that because I felt like I wanted to get far away. But apart from that, I don't know if it's necessary. I don't think it is. I think it's important that you break out of your comfort zone and break out of your 8 to 5, whatever it is. So is your job the kind of maybe your hobbies if you waste a lot of time with certain things like video games? Because I don't have a PC, so I can't games any play games much anymore. And then also maybe location wise, so you're forced to explore new places. I feel like that's the main thing about it. Doesn't have to be traveling all over the world, blah blah blah.